DUrbanTV South Africa. On this episode, we follow a team of dedicated vets out to save one of the world's classic creatures. And visit the South African home of Mahatma Gandhi, now a museum. First, take a step back to experience an iconic African culture.
We are in Hluhluwe area in Zululand. We are at Dumazulu. This is a traditional village, which is a living village. It's the only village now left in Zululand, and we're trying to keep it as a living village because everything is still operating as before. It's not like a demonstration, it's a living village. People are staying in the village here, so this is a village that we have here at Zululand. Our stations here at the village, it's more interesting. The first one is a spear station. You need to know how to make a spear. Where did you get that wood, the strong wood, and iron wood? Because it's not easy to break it. How to make a spear? You sharpen a spear on the fire. You know, it's a history. You know, sometimes people don't believe, but if you see it now, you can see, oh, okay, how to make a spear. Then I've got the beadwork, where we made our bead, so we look pretty, especially the women's. You know, before there were no bead. We're using a certain seed, call it ulozis in Zulu, to make the bead. It's very important to learn and see how the Zulu people lived before, because now it's a bit changed. But it's important to learn because there was no education. So we're trying to tell people how we were educated as young growing with the culture to write, to read, to respect and life itself. So we're trying to do that. So it's more important to know about the Zulu culture. It was difficult culture, but it's more interesting to learn about. And on the shield, you need to take like a cow skin, an ox skin, because an ox skin is very thicker than the other ones, and it's also strong. So if somebody is stabbing with a spear, the spear can't go through because it's very thick, the skin. We only use the ox skin, except the wedding shield, which is a small one. You know, you can take from any other cows. Then because it's not even thick and it mustn't be heavy when you're using it.
We go to the fortune teller, and then she is going to tell you what does this problem come from.
And I've got Inyanga and the Sangoma. There's a difference between the Inyanga and the Sangoma. The Sangoma is a fortune teller. Inyanga is the one that's dealing with the herbs, the one that can heal you if you're sick. So that's where the difference is.
It's a clay pot. We made up with a clay. We dig the clay nature the river bank. We used to put.
So we've got the pots. You can cook with that pot. You can boil water with the pot, and also we use that to fetch water on the river with that clay pot.
You can't save beer without tasting it. Silly lady. Yeah, girl.
We do the stick fight on weddings, the Zulu wedding. And when you do this stick fight, the minute you hit that somebody, then you are a hero on that wedding. So here we demonstrate how it was done. If you think you're a real man, you need to fight. But with a stick fight, you need to fight and say, okay, this man is brave. That's how we demonstrate him here. The dancing is our celebration. After everything, it's either it's a war or a wedding or what. The minute you see people dancing, then you're celebrating. There is different of dance. So there's a ladies dance, there's a men's dance. But here we're doing like a men's dance. The ladies are here to sing, to support this dance and the drum. But as you can see, after the whole show, then we're dancing. That's how we thank people. We celebrate. That's how we dance. That's our Zulu dance. very important because it just tells you how is the culture and how people were living before. And this was lovely. So it tells you more about the culture. Okay, these people living in this life. Let's just not forget about it.
The Durban Botanic Gardens was established in 1849, first on the banks of the Allegheny River and then later here in 1851 on the foothills of the Berea. It remains Africa's oldest surviving botanic garden. We focus on plant conservation, on education, on plant research, and it's a favourite place for family picnic on a Sunday. And wonderful gardens such as the new butterfly garden. The beautiful lake that's a haven for wild bird life. So it really is a great family institution. The Durban Botanic Gardens was established to trial plants of agricultural importance, so we had in the early years plants such as tea, coffee, pineapples, arrowroot, and also the trial of sugar. And sugarcane was first grown here at the Durban Botanic Gardens, which ultimately led to the development of the sugar industry in this part of South Africa. Well, being a subtropical environment, Durban on the eastern seaboard has a large number of trees that are grown both within the urban and rural environment. And a recent study conducted out of the States has shown that Durban is ranked 4th as the greenest city in the world, which we are certainly very proud of. And it's certainly that it's a fact that the Durban Botanic Garden celebrates as well with its tree collection. We have a mixture of both exotic and indigenous trees, and just short of 100 trees are older than 100 years, and many of those we regard as our centenary trees, and 2 of those trees are on their way to becoming Durban's first champion trees, or recognised by the Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries. Part of the future is looking at the key strategic areas, the one being the upper portion of the gardens above Edith Benson Crescent and forming a link up to Curry Road, and the idea of linking our green spaces. So imagining the Durban Botanic Gardens linking to other parks and green spaces. And that's what we see as part of the future development of the gardens, but also our city's green spaces as part of the development of linear parks in order to make our green spaces more effective and more accessible to people.
You must remember that beads, before trade, or far distant trade, beads did not exist. Color was something that linked you directly to nature. It was the flowers at this time of the year, it was the fruits at that time of the year, and suddenly these things turned up. These little seeds, still called seed beads, that had color that lasted forever. And ever since then, we've had the most beautiful beadwork, and while the rest of the world was embroidering his beads, we were making incredible jewelry with beads. Beads that spoke, and that you can still find everywhere. the language of symbols, of color, later on of letters. It's wonderful, and it's still being made all over the place. Out in the countryside, where people have not been ruined by modern technology to that extent, people can still make wonderful things without having kilns and wheels and glazes and all these sorts of things. People who still honor their craft, people who are still celebrating themselves, people who are still surrounded by those values that we should all hold so dear. Pansi Museum is our celebration of the beauty of the indigenous art of South Africa. Starting in KwaZulu-Natal, where we come from, and where we did our first explorations, where we searched and we came upon these most beautiful objects that we started collecting for about 40 or 50 years now. And we brought them all together here at the Pansi Museum to show the world and to celebrate and to really spoil everybody with these amazing, amazing objects that you can still find, that people are still making here in our side of the country. And we've brought it all together in this museum so that everybody can come and look. Everybody can come and saturate themselves in this incredible, incredible beauty and this triumph over adversity. Because we must always remember that all this happened during the worst years of our history in this part of the world. But it's a museum that rises above all that because it was actually turned around and celebrated by those who took the best of it and reinterpreted it and created new art, Ubuntu art, out of it. And a new respect gets built in this building. And through that respect, we believe that in future, our community will take pride and ownership of its own culture and its own roots again. We're a museum of the heart. And as far as we are concerned, we're just a feel-good museum. You don't have to learn anything. You just have to come out and feel good. Where in the world do you still find a situation where people remember how to make these things, where people remember how to create beauty, people who actually live, make things, use their gifts to actually be human and to indulge themselves in what it means to be human.
A modest wood and corrugated iron home built in 1903 in Phoenix, Durban, is where Mahatma Gandhi began to develop his philosophy of passive resistance. Now a museum, the site of Gandhi's Phoenix home interprets the extraordinary life and times Gandhi spent here. His arrival in South Africa as a lawyer to assist with Indian affairs was briefly interrupted by his involvement as a stretcher bearer during the Boer War, after which his return to bustling city law courts left him searching for a new approach to life. Encouraged by his colleagues, Gandhi branched out into journalism. It was this endeavour that led him to move the newly founded newspaper, The Indian Opinion, its workers and his own family to Natal to establish the Phoenix Settlement, an experimental communal settlement following Hindu principles. A visit to the Gandhi Interpretation Centre reveals artefacts used by Gandhi during this period, providing a real connection to his spirit and emphasising this pivotal timeline of his life. Establishing the first Indian printing press and being responsible for producing the first Indian newspaper in South Africa etched his words into history and allowed his thoughts to influence his later actions. A visit to the Gandhi Museum is more than just a sightseeing visit. It's a journey through time, a call to feel the harmony of the past that still resonates through this peaceful place.
Poaching in the area escalating due to people with no money and unemployment. Poaching has escalated dramatically in Zululand, Shishlui, KZN. So as a result, we have had to immediately dehorn to the best we could do to try and protect the rhino. While dehorning's not first choice for the rhino, it is a temporary measure to save their lives and to save for future.
But we'll grind it down.
Our little 2-year-old Bingo had a bullet hole about a month ago, we found. He has survived, but he did have a bullet scar. Nobody wants to come to a rhino reserve and not see rhino. International people are traveling all over the world to come to South Africa to see the famous white rhino and the famous black rhino. And all they want to do is have a photograph with a rhino. You know, a tourist taking a photo with a rhino without a horn is so much better than a photo of a dead rhino or no rhino at all. The rhino really is what makes KZN the rhino province. It's who we are, it's what we do, and it's our #1 marketing attraction to bring international travellers to our country, to our province, to our lodge. So in order to keep our rhinos safe, we have to hire anti-poaching staff who are on call 24 hours a day. We have drones in the air. We have thermal imaging. It's hugely expensive for a private reserve to incur such costs. So together, with our Bonamanzi Conservation Foundation, we have tried to secure funding in order to assist us, especially through these last 2 years.
So the value of the horn is worth more than the rhino at this stage, which is actually a ridiculous situation. And yeah, it's sad to see because rhino was saved here in this province, and now we sort of back into that cycle of having to try and save them again, which it's a terrible situation to be in. Because right now the rhinos, protection's costing them a lot of money, and there's no reward actually apart from having the rhino, but financially it's very difficult for the reserves. Big impact with poaching at the moment. The poachers have obviously moved down this way, so the populations that aren't dehorned are under a lot of pressure. And basically what we did today was to try and remove the horn, so you can do that safely for the rhino, and just leave as little as possible so that they're not a big risk for poaching. So it's basically a risk and reward. So if there isn't much horn left, then the risk is still the same to do poaching, but the reward will be much less, and so hopefully that will prevent these animals from being targeted here. If the word's out there that these rhino have all been dehorned, then obviously it's not a a great target because they're not going to get much if they do poach any of these. And them all being done, they know that it's not worth coming here.
So I'm one of the vets here today, working with Dr. Trevor and the ground crew, and we're here busy finding rhino to remove the horn to try and combat the rhino poaching crisis. So one of the attempts to save their life involves removing the rhino horn, and unfortunately we actually came across a female rhino this morning that had a bullet wound. So obviously poachers have been here targeting the rhinos. This poor rhino had a bullet wound. Fortunately it exited, so it wasn't lodged in the rhino, so it was still wounded, so we treated her with some antibiotics so it doesn't get infected. And she seemed to be okay, but that obviously gives you an idea about the impact and the urgency and the situation that the rhinos are in right now. So yeah, there's a lot of people, a lot of dedicated people, hardworking people who have been working for a long time to try and curb this problem. It's quite tough, and I think it's important that the whole world actually at least has some awareness, because I speak to people that they have no idea, why are you taking the horn off the rhino? It's like, well, we're trying to save its life, and unfortunately that's the drastic measures that you need to take. And these rhinos, they don't even have their full horns. They were dehorned I think 2 years ago, and unfortunately the horns grow back, but these horns are still, so these poor rhino are being targeted just for this much of their horn, which in reality is just made out of the same substance as my fingernail, keratin.
Bonamandzi is located in Zululand. The rhino is from Zululand. Should we not have our indigenous animals on the property? So we want everyone to know we do have dehorned rhino. It is important for that. Please don't come poach my rhino. I lost 2 in 2012 and another 2 in 2016. We don't want to lose any more. It is our future, and our children need to see this, and it would be unfair to have that taken away from them as something as South Africa, this is our wildlife, and South Africa has saved the rhino from extinction. Can we not keep it that way, please?
Next time on See South Africa, we visit Africa's largest aquarium and spot some cheetah at the Mdeneni Wildcat Sanctuary.